Nobody told you the most important thing about money. Not your parents, not your school, not the bank that handed you your first credit card. With a smile and zero explanation. They taught you addition, subtraction, maybe compound interest if you were lucky. But nobody ever sat you down and said, here's how your brain is secretly working against you every single time you make a financial decision. And here's what makes that silence so dangerous. It's not the decisions you know are bad that destroy your finances. It's the ones that feel completely reasonable, logical even, responsible, the ones you make while fully convinced you're doing the right thing. Stay with me for the next 8 minutes, because what you're about to hear is the kind of thing that changes how you see money forever. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me start with something that happened to almost everyone watching this video, and almost no one has ever examined. You received money once that you didn't work for. A birthday gift, a tax refund, a small inheritance, a bonus that felt like it fell from the sky. And something interesting happened. You spent it faster, more loosely, on things you'd never buy with your regular paycheck. You didn't even notice, but it happened. Behavioral economists have a name for this. They call it the house money effect. The term comes from gambling. When a casino player wins early in the night, they start playing with the house's money, not their own. So they take bigger risks, bet more, recklessly, because deep down, it doesn't feel like it's really theirs to lose. Here's the disturbing part. Your brain does the exact same thing with any money it didn't have to bleed for. A tax refund, that's your own money you overpaid all year. You earned every cent of it. But your brain categorizes it as found money. And found money gets spent, not invested, not protected, spent. Research shows that people are statistically far more likely to spend a windfall than save it, regardless of their income, regardless of their financial education. The money doesn't change. Only where it came from does. And that single psychological distinction costs ordinary people tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a lifetime. Here's the question I want you to sit with. How many found money moments have you had? And where did that money actually go? We'll come back to this. But first, there's something even more fundamental that nobody taught you. Something that starts not in your bank account, but somewhere far more unexpected. This is the one that nobody wants to hear, because it means the financial decisions you make today as a grown adult are partly being driven by a child who watched their parents fight about money, or watched their mother hide shopping bags before dad got home, or grew up hearing the phrase, "we can't afford," that so many times it became a belief, not just a sentence. Psychologists call these money scripts. They are the invisible rules we form about money before we're old enough to question them, and they run silently in the background of every financial choice you have ever made. If you grew up in a household where money was scarce, your brain didn't just notice that. It adapted. It rewired. Studies using brain imaging show that people who experienced financial stress in childhood show measurably different patterns of brain activity as adults, even when they're financially secure. Let me say that again. Even when the money problem is gone, the brain still behaves like it isn't. Someone who grew up poor can become a millionaire and still flinch at restaurant prices, still feel guilt spending on themselves, still lie awake at 3 a.m. calculating whether they have enough, even when every spreadsheet says they do. And on the other end of the spectrum, someone who grew up watching a parent spend recklessly will often spend recklessly themselves, not because they want to, because their nervous system learned that money is something that flows through your hands, not something you hold. Here's what nobody tells you. The version of you that is most in control of your financial life isn't your adult self doing the math. It's the 7-year-old who learned what money meant before they knew the word investment. And until you examine that, until you actually name the money scripts running your life, no budget, no financial plan, no investment strategy will work the way it should, because you'll keep sabotaging them without knowing why. Now here is the part that will genuinely disturb you. Harvard Business School surveyed thousands of the wealthiest people in the world, individuals with a net worth of $10 million or more, and asked them a single question. How much money would you need to feel completely happy? 75% said they would need significantly more, at least 5 to 10 million more. At minimum, $10 million, and still not enough. This isn't a story about greed. This is a story about a psychological treadmill that has no finish line. The moment your income rises, your comparison group rises with it. You stop comparing yourself to who you were. You start comparing yourself to who is just above you. The goalpost moves automatically, every time, without your permission. Researchers call it the hedonic treadmill. You adapt to every new level of wealth almost, as fast as you reach it. The raise feels incredible for 90 days. Then it becomes the new normal. And normal never feels like enough. The most dangerous consequence of this isn't envy. It's the decisions it drives. People stay in careers they despise for another decade, chasing a number that, even when they reach it, won't feel like what they thought it would feel like. Because the brain wasn't chasing the money. It was chasing the feeling the money was supposed to create. And feelings don't compound. They reset. Here's the psychological trap underneath this. We are extraordinarily bad at predicting what will make us happy in the future. Psychologists call this affective forecasting, and the research is brutal. We consistently overestimate how good the good things will feel and how long that feeling will last. That promotion, that house, that net worth milestone, we think it will change how we feel about life. It does, for a month, maybe two. Then we're back exactly where we started, emotionally, wanting the next thing. The people who escape this cycle aren't the ones who make more money. They're the ones who learn to stop letting imaginary future money make decisions for their actual, present life. This one is simpler, and it might be the most immediately useful thing in this entire video. Researchers at MIT ran an experiment. They showed students a list of products: wine, chocolates, computer equipment. Then, before asking anyone to name a price, they asked each student to write down the last 2 digits of their social security number. Just the last 2 digits. A completely random number. Then they bid on the products. Students whose social security numbers ended in higher digits, say 80 or 90, consistently bid significantly more for the exact same products than students whose numbers ended in 10 or 20. A random, irrelevant number changed what people thought things were worth. This is called anchoring, and it is happening to you every single day. The moment you see a price, any price, your brain locks onto it as the reference point. The original price on a sale tag, the valued at number on a luxury item, the asking price on a house. That number colonizes your judgment. And everything you think afterward is relative to it, not to reality. This is why a $400 shirt marked down to $200 feels like a deal. Even though you'd never have considered paying $200 for that shirt if the $400 anchor hadn't been placed there first. This is why luxury stores put their most expensive items at the front, not to sell them, but to make everything else feel reasonable by comparison. You are being anchored constantly by advertisers, by restaurants, by real estate agents, by anyone who shows you a number first and asks you to make a decision second. The defense isn't cynicism, it's a single habit. Before you evaluate any price, ask yourself what you would have paid if you'd seen no price at all. What is this actually worth to me? Not relative to what they told me. What is it worth to me? That one question, practiced consistently, is worth more than most financial courses you will ever take. The last thing I want to tell you is the one that most people push back on the hardest, because it feels counterintuitive until it clicks. And then it feels like someone turned a light on in a room you've been bumping around in for years. Kahneman and Tversky, 2 psychologists whose work is the foundation of modern Behavioral economics proves something that changed how we understand decision making. Losing $100 feels psychologically roughly twice as painful as gaining $100 feels good. Read that again. The pain of losing $100 is approximately double the pleasure of winning a Platers. $100. We are not neutral. We are loss-averse. Deeply, neurologically, loss-averse. And this single bias explains more financial destruction than almost anything else. It's why people hold losing investments for years, refusing to sell, refusing to realize the loss, even as the value keeps dropping. Because selling makes it real, and the brain will do almost anything to avoid making it real. It's why people stay in financial arrangements that aren't working. Businesses hemorrhaging money, subscriptions nobody uses, partnerships that should have ended years ago. Because leaving means admitting the loss, and the brain would rather keep bleeding than stop and look at the wound. But here's the piece nobody talks about. Loss aversion doesn't just make you hold bad positions. It makes you never take good ones. The investment you didn't make because it might go down. The business you didn't start because it might fail. The negotiation you didn't have because it might go badly. All of those are losses too. Invisible ones that never show up on any statement, that your brain never has to confront. But they compound every single year in silence. The avoidance of a possible loss has cost more people more wealth than any market crash in history. Because markets recover, time does not. 5 things nobody sat you down and explained. The money you didn't earn doesn't feel real, so you spend it. The child you once were is still making your financial decisions. More money won't feel like more. It will feel like normal. Every price you've ever seen has been nudging your judgment. And the loss you're avoiding may be the most expensive thing in your life right now. This isn't pessimism. This is the clearest map I can hand you. Because the moment you understand that your financial life isn't a math problem, it's a psychology problem, everything changes. You stop asking, how do I make more money as the only question, and you start asking the harder one. What is my mind doing with the money I already have? That question, taken seriously, is worth more than any raise, any investment tip, any financial hack on the internet. This is Classy Wealth, and if this video made you think differently, you know what to do.